see? Okay. Wait, do I do that?
No, that's fine.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah?
Fine.
Yeah.
She was 7 months pregnant with my little brother when she heard the news that changed her life forever. 2 months later, I was happily sitting on the sofa alongside my mum and newborn brother. Family came round taking pictures of him, but everything seemed very different. As I looked at the small Polaroid photographs in my grandma's wrinkled hand, I could only focus on my mum, just sitting there, motionless, looking straight towards the camera. As I looked through the photos, I saw a person I didn't recognise.
MND changed my life irrevocably, but not necessarily for the worse.
I left the nursery every morning carrying my school bag in my hand, content and happy as ever, unwillingly leaving my mum sitting at home helpless and alone. Eventually, everything she did seemed slow and painful. When she spoke, I couldn't understand her. She couldn't walk without help, but often no one would help her. Eating anything took ages, and often no one had the patience to sit by and feed her. At night, my brother cried for what seemed to be a whole night, but no one ever came.
A few years ago, it dawned on me that MND isn't eating me. Maybe because I no longer fear it, or perhaps I got lucky.
Sarah Ezekiel, the woman inside a shell, trapped in her own body, unable to escape. A year later, my dad was hugging me, telling me he'd see me and my brother again soon. He walked out the door with a suitcase and his car keys.
You can't change what has already happened. The present is a great place to live, especially without regret clouding your landscape.
The next week I came home from school and saw a lady with blonde hair, light brown eyes, pink cheeks and plump face sitting on the sofa next to my mum. I could see this lady was struggling to understand what she was saying. Who is she and why is she here, I thought to myself. She said hello to me and told me her name was Jean. I was woken up by someone shouting help. It wasn't a loud shout, it was quiet and high-pitched. As I opened my eyes, I knew instantly it was my mum. I sat up quickly and looked at my clock. The hour hand was on the 3 and the minute hand was on 25. I waited a few seconds to see if she'd stop, but I heard my mum calling again, so I slid out of bed, opened my door, walked down the short corridor and tiptoed into my mum's room, careful not to wake my brother. My eyes were squinted and no light, it was difficult to see. At first, I looked at the bed but couldn't see her, but my eyes wandered around and then I saw her, laying on the floor, past the duvet covering her limp body. Her arms were bent across her face, her legs outstretched. I stared at her in shock. She groaned and cried. In that second, I remembered Jean. I ran downstairs and shook her until she woke. I was panicking, trying to explain. She was 7 months pregnant with my little brother when she heard the news. Eventually, everything she did seemed slow. As the words spilled out of the doctor's mouth, the world around her turned silent. She was 7 months pregnant. Sarah Ezekiel, the woman inside a shell, trapped in her own body. The birds outside stopped singing. The life she once loved and always wanted was soon. She was 7 months pregnant with my little brother. I turned on the light and saw my mum's face, carpet marks on the left side. She was red from crying and yelling. I went back to my room and lay on my bed. I wondered how long she'd be lying there. Will things ever go back to normal? Will my brother ever know our real mum?
I'm inspired by people who actively try to change things for the better. I'm motivated by trying to make some changes myself.
I woke up 8 a.m. Saturday morning and typed MND into Google. The page opened. There were 6,070,000 results. Words from the page caught my eye. Progressive, attack, rare, risk, suffer, genetic, fatal. So many questions, so little time.
After I was diagnosed with MND, I felt as if the disease was stealing my identity. It took years to find myself again. I feel much stronger as a result. Now I feel that I am still the same person, but with some limitations. The disease certainly doesn't define me.